Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm gonna be giving you part 1 of What If Naruto Was an Uchiha with a Ghost speed release. You will understand once you start to listen, but trust me, it's gonna be awesome. Yes, it truly is. First of all, if you want to check it out for yourself, the link for the author down below will be in the description, so you can go ahead, check him out, and yeah, show him some support. And also, remember, if you're new, yes, I indeed have 4 channels, which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead, check it out, and yeah, enjoy guys. And remember to comment down below if you're new so I can give you a warm welcome to the Anime King family. Yes guys, I would like to welcome you personally, so tell me if you're new. And also, remember to turn on the bell notification and see exactly when I post. So without further ado or wasting more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new series? Begin now guys. He did not know what his father expected from him. This was the thought of one, Naruto Namikaze, as he fell to his knees. As a knee was smashed in his stomach, courtesy of his twin sister. Bright yellow lights popped around him as he blinked out with the tears in his vision, as he grabbed his stomach and hit the ground, when a savage heel kick hit his cheek, knocking him away. That is when a voice spoke up. Enough! He could vaguely hear his father saying as he saw a pair of sandal boots enter his line of sight. Get up, Minato commanded, as he frowned sharply when Naruto struggled off his knees, slowly rising to his feet. Why are you not attacking? Naruto looked down towards the ground, his left arm supporting his stomach, his face set in a neutral expression, as he panted a bit for air. He then finally spoke. I cannot hit her. She's my sister. The tall blonde who hovered over him stayed silent for a moment, as Naruto did not speak either. Minato Namikaze looked down towards his red-haired son, who was wearing a short-sleeved black shirt, short black shorts, and sandals, bandage wrapped around his arms and in his ankles as well, as he had on a kunai pouch and a shuriken holster as well, on his thigh and on his leg, while his older twin sister wore a short-sleeved shirt, white shorts, and black sandals. She had white bandages wrapped around her neck and sandals. Her weapon pouches were in the same place as his. The 9-year-old blonde girl looked towards her brother with concern, as she turned her purple eyes down when he glanced towards her, the red bruise on his cheek now intimidating her. She did not think that her kick would connect because her brother was dodging her attacks, so she had followed through with her attack. The both of them had the same fighting style. He was dodging earlier, but he probably got bored of dodging and decided to let those two hits connected. Minato's eyes flickered towards the girl before flickering back towards the boy. She does not have a problem with hitting you. Your academy teachers says that you're a prodigy, so much so that they recommend you graduate 3 years early. However, I am not seeing the skill that they're talking about. Where is it? Said Minato, his tone coming out in a shouting form. However, Naruto was unshaken by that, as he looked up with fiery purple eyes. I will not hit my sister, he said. Minato scowled as he looked down toward his son. He relented after a while as he turned towards his daughter. The young blonde glanced up towards her father as he spoke. Why would you hit him if he refused to hit you back? She shook a bit under his eyes as she spoke. Brother said that it was fine. Is that so? The Hokage mused, as he reached up and scratched his cheek. The 3 Namikaze were training in the backyard of their home, a special training area. It had space for a small river, luscious grass, and clean air. It would have been a great place for a picnic if the older man had not designated the place to be used as a training field. His thoughts wandered on his children. Ren Namikaze was a mirror image of his late wife, Kushina Uzumaki. but she lacked the pattern Uzumaki attitude that most Uzumaki seem to be born with. However, her brains and skills were something else. She had also been recommended to graduate early by her teachers when they realized they could not teach her anything new. He just wanted to evaluate them if they were truly ready to enter into the shinobi world. Naruto and Mikaze also looked like Kushina, but he lacked their attitudes. Either of them. He was plain face, someone that could blend in a background without being noticed. However, Minato knew why this was. It was watching his mother die, protecting their now 5-year-old baby sister. Naruto used to be such a bright, happy child, but now he moved with shadow in his eyes and an empty expression. He could barely keep a handle on him anymore, seeing that he was not always at home. The only reason he was able to know what was going on with him was through Ren, but the girl was barely ever away from Naruto's side. Minato regretted the day that he allowed them to wait outside of Kushina's room. It had been Naruto who had watched the light leave Kushina's eyes as her head was rested on her husband's lap. His sister had been knocked out by a shock wave when the Kyuubi had smashed a tail near them. Minato was now aware that Naruto had blamed his inability to think quickly, forcing his mother to leap off the hospital bed after she had gave birth to young Mikoto minutes before to take them to safety. After this, she ran back with her dual katana to face off against the tail beast long enough for them to seal it, half in her and half in Mikoto, the half dying with her. Naruto and his sister had followed as they saw the fight between Uzumaki and a tail beast, ending with the third Hokage pushing Minato away in order to perform the sealing, sacrificing his life to seal half within Kushina and the other half in Mikoto. Years later though, and Naruto was still not past her death. Her death had changed Minato too. He got more ruthless and his tolerance thin a lot, especially when he was faced with incompetence. In his ninja force, he turned back as he watched Ren place a hand on her brother's cheek. As the boy shook his head, but there was a small, barely visible twitch of his lips, she beamed at him with a happy face as he simply rolled his eyes. Minato believed that they have some sort of wordless communication between each other. Now that he looked at them, they looked like they were the physical manifestation of light and darkness. One could not live without the other, and both of them balanced each other out. Rin was bright and friendly. No one could keep a grudge with her because she was just too nice. Naruto was rarely seen, and when he was seen, he resonated nothing but emptiness. Minato was thankful that it was not the evil kind. He believed that Naruto was better than Ren when it came to combat and knowledge. However, he would have to see it for himself before he decided if the boy can graduate early or not. As he made a gesture, summoning a tiger Anvu, summon Fukaku immediately and tell him to bring Itachi as well. Yes sir, the Anvu said before he body flickered away. His children seemed to have forgotten that he was there, as Ren was chatting in Naruto's ears about something only they could understand. As Naruto quirked the eyebrow at her, his hands were in his pockets, as Ren was making gestures with her hand. Aruka-sensei called it a tree war hog, but it looked like a hidden stone pig. As she waited for him to speak, why do you think that? Well, you see, a tree hog is green, and the hidden stone pigs are brown and short with horns from their forehead, just like the one he pointed at. Ren was talking about the time in class when Aruka had shown them a picture of a tree hog, but she objected and called it a hidden stone pig. As Naruto could remember the day very well, she was seated beside him, and he had to hold her back from launching towards the academy teacher. As Naruto was about to speak when he heard a cough, glancing up he saw that it was his rival, Itachi Uchiha. Both of the boys looked toward each other with a stare before their fathers greeted one another. As Minato spoke, "Since you don't want to fight your sister, then you will fight your cousin. Would that be a problem?" Itachi was in a long-sleeved black shirt and white shorts, bandage wrapped around his fists. "No," both boys said. Both of the fathers smirked. They could taste the tension in the air as both boys looked at one another with a slight glare. The wind picked up around them as this happened. Minato dragged Ren away, who was openly glaring at her Uchiha cousin, even showing her teeth as she seemed angry. Get into your stances. Both 9-year-olds dropped into their stances. Itachi in the Uchiha Taijutsu stance and Naruto in the hummingbird fighting stance. No holding back, said Minato. Don't plan to. They muttered to themselves before their eyes switched into a 3-totem Sharingan, the both of them. Fukaku tried to suppress his surprise. It was not the first time he witnessed Naruto Sharingan. He knew that the Namikaze clan, a clan that was almost extinct, were offsprings of Indra Asusuke, second son. They were not able to unlock their Sharingan because the genes were extremely recessive. In return for not inheriting their forefather dojutsu, they were gifted with unnatural bloodline speed and share a high affinity for ninjutsu along with their Uchiha cousins. The reason the Namikazes were solely reduced to the Hokage family alone was because the chance of reproducing in either genders were extremely slim. Luckily, Minato had married a Uzumaki, who he had loved, so his chances of reproducing increased exponentially. Namikazes could not unlock their Sharingan. History was proof enough, and yet there his son was, with his 3-totem Sharingan. Minato swore that he would investigate in his late wife genealogy after the match. Rin looked on, hoping that this fight with Itachi did not end up like the last one, both of them with broken fingers, sprained calves, and slight concussions. Alright, hand to hand alone. Begin. One of the things that Naruto got from his father was speed. Not just the ability to run fast, but the ability to move so quickly that he could make up to 5 clones of himself. And these clones were not jutsus. It was just how fast he was at his age. He called them his ghost clones, because they could not be touched, but they could touch their opponents. He predicted that when he was older he could make at least hundreds of ghost clones, maybe even 1,000. His ability to make ghost clones was not something that he do all the time, seeing that the stress was monumental on him. So he resorted not to use them in this battle against his eternal rival. Itachi has been fighting Naruto for as long as he remember, and even though he could assess to know when Naruto moves most of them, well, not as much as Ren, but he still did not know enough to make Naruto predictable. The same could be said with Naruto to Itachi. Naruto body flicker right beside Itachi. Itachi leaned under a punch that almost nicked him across the face. Naruto did not stop though as he followed up with a brutal kick. However, Itachi leg lashed out as well, causing their feet to smash against each other with brutal force. Naruto's right hand lashed out at blinding speeds. However, a kunai was hidden in Itachi's wrist. Seeing the kunai, Naruto had to pull back, as the both of them stepped away for a few feet, until they vanished. What ensued was a brutal taijutsu match. Fists, kicks connected. Their speed was immense. Itachi could not keep up with Naruto's speed, however, his bloodline was working overtime to keep up, as his muscles started to scream at him for pushing his physical limits to be able to keep up with Naruto's immense speed. He stepped back as he saw an opening, slamming his knee right in Naruto's guts. He then followed up with a brutal punch. However, Naruto pulled back as a fist slowly passed his face. He then stepped in Itachi's guard. Itachi brought his arm around, but Naruto was only distracting him with his arms. Itachi felt the pain on his leg as Naruto blasted him with a brutal kick, forcing the Uchiha to jump back. Itachi did not waste any time as he blurred through hand sign, Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. He threw a fistful of shurikens as he muttered again, Molted Shuriken Technique. He clenched his fist to control the flight of the hundreds of shurikens tied to the strings on his fingers. Naruto saw all of them coming towards him as time slowed down. His Sharingan spun. The ground underneath him cracked. His eyes counted 570 shurikens in total, as he saw them glowing bright red with fire affinity chakra, all connected back to the strings on his opponent's finger. As Naruto pulled out 2 kunai and channeled water affinity in them, as he spun them on his fingers, water kunai blades. Water blades shot out of the kunai, The burning shurikens bounce off the spinning water defense. Shards of steel pepper around Naruto, just outside his defense. When they stopped, Naruto threw the blades towards Itachi as he rushed after them, closely following behind. Itachi kicked them away with his sandal as he planted his foot in the ground and slammed his other sandal feet in Naruto's cheek. As Naruto fell, before his body faded away like he was some sort of mirage. But Itachi knew better. There was not many people in Konoha that was Chunin or below that could defeat Itachi. However, when it came to Naruto, Itachi could never win. He kept count of every loss, and he tried to learn from them, but most times, it felt like Naruto was humoring him in their rivalry, as he knew, if Naruto got tired of the spar he could finish it in 2 minutes flat, like now. Ghost, clone technique. There was a violent hum in the air, like electricity passing through a wire, as 5 Naruto materialized around him. At first they were blurry, before their features kept on spinning together and becoming perfect. Itachi could not find the real Naruto even with his Sharingan, because they all had the same chakra, seeing as they were all simply Naruto, running at such speeds around him that they were all formed. The 5 clones surrounded him, and his Sharingan caught sight of a small string connecting each of them. The last time he tried to cut it, he almost lost his fingers. The humming in the air increased as all of them surrounded Itachi, their hand extended, like they were about to leap towards him. The humming then stopped as all of them rushed forward at max Chunin speed. That was their default speed when Naruto used the ghost clone technique. Itachi threw himself in the air as the ghosts faded through one another. 2 of them leaped up in the sky. Itachi winced as a blow slammed into his stomach. He swung his leg, however, it simply passed right through the clone. Sweat started to run down his forehead as he punched again, but the attack was slapped away as a heel slammed into the back of his head. This attack sent Itachi straight down to the ground as he slammed his hands into the ground, before pushing himself back up as he jumped over a brutal kick, flipping over the clone head. He brought his hand up to go through Hansen's butt. The ghost string whacked at his left arm. Upon making contact, his sleeve was burnt, as his hand got burned as well. The pain distracted him enough for a clone to trip him as another one slammed a brutal elbow in his chest. It then disappeared in a red mist, leaving only 4 clones. These 4 clones surrounded Itachi, the humming in the air increasing as they did not move. One by one they exploded into red mist, leaving Naruto to stand above him, as Naruto placed his heel right on Itachi's neck, the contact burning the Uchiha. Seeing that Naruto was moving at immense speeds, his feet were very hot. Their Sharingan clashed against each other as the both of them cancel each other genjutsu in painful silence until Itachi closed his eyes. "That's enough, Naruto," Minato declared, as he tried to understand how much power and skill Naruto was holding back, even though he did not have the Kyuubi. As Naruto walked away from his opponent toward his sister, as she had a look of sparkling amazement in her eyes as she saw him. "I guess your teachers were right," said Naruto, as he sat beside her and lay down on the grass, before he closed his eyes. And then, a few seconds later, she heard snoring, making her giggle, making ghost clones take a lot out of him, not just chakra. Amazing. He's just as fast as a Jonin. Namikaze. Fukaku helped his son up to his feet. "Go and treat your wounds, Itachi," he said. "Yes, father." "When he wakes up, tell him that the both of you are ready to graduate," said Minato to his daughter as he walked off the training ground. The blonde Namikaze placed her brother's head on her lap as she ran her fingers through his blood-red hair, a small smile on her face. The Namikaze twins were inseparable. She couldn't recall a day when she was more than 20 feet away from him. That was only when they were sleeping in their separate bedrooms. However, sometimes she snuck in his room and slept in his bed when she had nightmares. True to Minato musing, they balanced each other out. She took all the happiness and he kept all the darkness away from her in himself. However, that darkness would have overtaken him by now if it wasn't for her being a positive light in the dark. And she also resonated with his darkness as well. So she would not only focus on sunshine and rainbows. The both of them were completely balanced. Their understanding of one another was so deep that they could have a long conversation around others. Even in sparring, yes, Naruto would win, but it would take a long time, because the both of them knew the counter to their techniques. That was how much they knew each other, even a counter to his ghost clone technique. She closed her eyes as she spread out her senses as she felt the Anvu operative around the training ground. Strangely enough, despite this being a Uzumaki ability, she could not sense her siblings. That is why she jumped when little Mikato ran towards her. Sister! The adorable 5-year-old girl with red hair was wearing a yellow and white apron wrapped around her as she had a yellow shirt underneath and black shorts. There was a backpack on her back and she had 3 bento tins balanced in her arms as she ran fast she could, making sure to keep them balanced. Sister, I brought lunch. As Naruto cracked open the eye, causing his baby sister to smile at him. See? Lunch. As she placed one into his hands and placed the other one into her older sister's hands. As Naruto pulled himself up, as the both of them thanked her. How was class? Ren asked. As she opened her tin and started to eat their lunch of rice and beef stew, Naruto watched on with tired eyes, as he was still very sleepy after using his ghost clone. However, he would stay awake because they were having lunch. Mikoto Namikaze was being homeschooled by one of Kushina's former students, Uchiha Uzuki, for the past year, and what the Anvu captain had seen. Despite Mikoto not entering practical knowledge yet, she was quite recessive. She might be a bit playful, but she could take things seriously when needed. If she kept up the way she absorbed information, she too might graduate early from the academy, if she wanted. Right now though, the 3 Namikaze siblings were just having lunch. Time skip. 8 years later, if there was ever a monumental movement up through the Konoha ranks, it was by the Namikaze twins. After graduating from the academy at the age of 9, they had been shortly placed on a 3-man cell with Genin, Hinamai Aberami as their 3rd member, and their Jonin sensei named Tomo Fukunaka. This team arrangement was seen by many as just for the Genin team to rank up to Chunin, so they could then branch out by their own, even though they still remained close after Team Tomo was disbanded. They had been subjected for a month of the ranks before they realized that it wasn't necessary, as the speed of the twins and the poison beetles of Hinamai worked perfectly. They were given retrieval, captured, reconnaissance, and theft missions, even though they were still Genins. These missions were clear with little effort. It pacified them though, until they grew up a bit older, and they started to ask for harder missions. Those missions that they wanted though was for high shinobis, more than Genin rank, so their sensei nominated them for Chunin exams, which was held in the land of snow. They took it not even 6 months after they graduated from the academy. After becoming Chunins, they more or less split up, with Hinamai choosing to work as a hunter nin, and the twins choosing to work together as freelance Konoha ninjas. Freelancers ninjas were ninjas who specialize in literally everything of being a shinobi. They were among the youngest Jonins at the age of 12, with the most B and A rank missions done amongst their peers. The constant high-ranking missions increase the flow of revenue to Konoha, increasing said nation and the village, as Minato was not one to hold back A-rank missions on them. Internally, most did not even see it as bias, because the children had earned their ranks. They had proven themselves well. As the twins rank up, they had proven themselves to be able to go on S-rank missions. No missions were left uncompleted. It came as no surprise as these missions started to be taken more often. Monikers started to spread through the elemental nation. They were wanted on more than a half a dozen countries with S-rank priorities. However, the order was to flee on sight. Kumo Bingo Book Entry 356. Rank S-Team. Moniker the Red Sun, the Yellow Moon, and the Ghost Flash. Combined, known as the Kaze 2. Names Namikaze Naruto and Namikaze Ren. 17 years of age. Twins. Affiliation Konoha, the Hidden Leaf. Namikaze Clan, Uchiha Clan. Bloodline Sharingan. Ghost Speed Release. Flash Step Release. Sensor Type Hyper Awareness. Chakra. Construction family slash relative. Minato Namikaze, father. Kushina Uzumaki, mother, deceased. Mikoto Namikaze, sister. Senju Tsunade, godmother slash estranged. Sarutobi Hiruzen, godfather slash deceased. The Uchiha clan slash cousin clan. Information. The Ghost Flash are both remarkable young jonins that have carved a path through the elemental nation as ninjas who are nearly impossible to be defeated. It is believed that the both of them are at equal strength and their teamwork is high S rank, but their individual strengths also set them apart. Ren Namikaze, the angel of Konoha, is able to use a rare Flash Step bloodline, which is why she is represented as the Sun Half. She possesses incredible strength and noteworthy physical fortitude. Take care not to enrage her. Next, Naruto Namikaze, aka the Red Demon, is not really seen, but he's mostly calm and collected, and greatly controlled with emotions. He possesses a higher form of the Flash Step, and the Ghost Speed release as well, and is able to use the Sharingan with great skill. They are credited for taking down the dreaded demon of Demon Country, destroying the village hidden in the tsunami, killing the Iron and Steel brothers, and severely wounding the Lightning Holder, Rai, of Kumo. Despite this, not much is known about their abilities, except for the obvious. It is advised when encountered, whether they be together or apart, do not engage, flee on sight. On the page up to the top was a picture of Naruto and Ren. Ren had her back to the camera as she was peering over her shoulder, her beauty so much that it shone. On her back were a pair of bright yellow wings, like that of a hummingbird, a long tanto in her hand that dripped with blood, a sleeveless white shirt with the Namikaze crest on the back. It was cut right above her stomach as she was wearing mesh shirt underneath that showed off her toned stomach, and the sheet for her tanto slung over her shoulder. She was looking at the person taking the camera, innocent in her eyes, but yet there was this bloodlust, calm, held back bloodlust. Despite how innocent her eyes look, the blood on her clothing could testify to that. Her forehead protector perched on her temple. Naruto was behind her facing the camera, a little to the side, so the cameraman could see her back, but not enough to leave her open. Long sleeve black shirt with a Namikaze crest on the back, and black pants. He also had wings, however he had 4, jutting from his back, but they angled downwards, so that they would not pierce her. His red hair shadowed his eyes. His hands were coated in blood, as around them was nothing but carnage. Bodies of Kumo ninjas. It was pure chaos. The both of them were back to back, as the dying Kumo ninjas were all around them. The twins had a code. Yes, they had a code, and that was to show little of their strength, only little, leaving the rest to the imagination, so that it would increase their known variety, and by extension Konoha's. True to this, no one wanted to screw with Konoha. It had proven time and time again as well, that screwing with a Uzumaki, even part Uzumaki, was something dire. At the moment though, Ren held the book up to her brother's face, with a picture of both of them, back to back, surrounded by carnage. "Look bro," she said, "I told you, our pose was cool." As he took the book away from her, "It's okay," he said, "but it would have looked much better if I had my Sharingan on," as he tossed the book back at her, before relaxing in his chair. The two were sitting in a high-class restaurant. Ren was in a sparkling red and white dress, with white heel ninja sandals. Naruto was in a black shirt with a suit drawn on it, in black pants as well. It was the closest Ren could get for him to be in a suit, mission or no mission. The both of them had on black wigs and black contacts, to show how genetic they were as a twin. They were sent by their father to assassinate a human trafficking boss from Konoha who had fled to Kumo during a raid on his headquarters. He was continuing his operation in Kumo. Their job was to end his life without drawing any attention to themselves. As Naruto scratched his cheek, as he looked towards their target, a well-built man in a sharp tuxedo, sitting on a red plush seat. On each of his side was 2 women in skimpy black dress, but they were not important, so he did not memorize their face. "How do you think we should do this?" he asked. She hummed as she ran her finger over her glass of water. "How about poison?" she said. Contact poison, he asked her. She nodded. I'll do it, she said. He seemed to like women more than he liked men. She said in a playful tone. Obviously, said Naruto with a roll of his eyes. Just be careful. I don't want to bail you out of trouble again. She kicked him on the shin, under the table. That was one time, she said, as she then slipped on a pair of red gloves on the back of the hand. It was laced with poison. As she looked towards her younger twin and said, watch this. Her eyes softened. As her lips pouted a bit, her shoulders slumped down as she crossed her arms under her breasts. The image of a lost girl that need help. As she got up and walked towards his table in a rather seductive way, her smooth yet timid motions draw all the attention from all the guys in the restaurant. Even a few girls glanced over, as Naruto simply sighed as he leaned back, checking out the restaurant as she made her way, making sure to check everyone. He then felt the man's chakra pulsating, as the man caught sight of his sister, as Naruto's eyes focused on their lips to read what they were saying. Sir, she said, in a soft, gentle voice. He looked over at her, her figure perfectly accentuated by her dress, as he looked toward the slit on her dress that showed off some thigh, and he grinned. Why, hello there, he said. How can I help you? As he pushed the two girls away and patted the seat beside him for her to take a seat. She did so gently as he threw his left arm around her shoulder. I was just wondering if we could. She spoke softly and slowly, as he leaned forward and took both of her hands, rubbing the back of her hand with his thumb. We could, he said, motioned for her to go on, as she watched as he rubbed the back of her gloves. Bingo, she thought. She then got up. I wanted to share the table with you, but it seems I've noticed another vacant spot. You can go back ahead and call your hookers, she told him. Her entire demeanor had changed completely, confusing the man as she walked back towards Naruto. Little did Mr. Kairi know that a week before today, the twins have been burning all of his trafficking network, destroying all the roots that he had in the countries, and he was the last remaining head to remove. The man then started to cough a bit. As the coughing went away, well, he would not be surviving past the night. As both her and Naruto left, as they were far away, she burned the gloves, as Naruto sealed away the ashes, so that he could spread them far and wide. It has been 3 months they've been on this mission. Yes, it was a very long one, but now they could go back for a break. She slipped behind a tree as she took off her dinner dress, as she slipped back into her Jonin uniform, her Jonin flap jacket. It wasn't like Naruto had not seen her naked. They shared the same apartment in the Uchiha compound, and their motel room was too small for any kind of forgettable privacy. But her bashfulness was to be careful if any other person saw them. Her uniform was horrible when it came to stealth missions. However, she made up for it with her speed, as Naruto too climbed into a tree as he changed back in his uniform, as he tied his forehead protector on his right arm, as he patiently waited for her to finish dressing, as random thoughts flashed through his mind. In Konoha, even though they could very well work and live separately, they both have been dubbed the strongest ninjas there. It was a non-verbal agreement that they made though, that they would not work all time together. They would work 10% separately away from each other. As Naruto silently dropped down beside her, as she tied on her headband, even though it was well past midnight when they arrived. The first place they went to was their father, as Naruto stood at attention while his sister sat on the windowsill, as he handed over the written report to his father. Mission complete, Lord Fort, said Naruto. Minato looked at him with a raised eyebrow, but he remembered at the moment that he was not their father, he was a Hokage. He flipped through the neatly report as he asked, any complications? None to note of. We were wondering why you wanted us to return immediately. Rain wanted to go for a bit of shopping. As the girl snorted where she was. And you wanted to check out the whorehouse. You damn horn dog, she said. The corner of Minato's lip twitched up in amusement as he chuckled, as he rubbed his forehead. He was sleepy. I wanted you guys back here for the Chunin exams. That's next week. Even if we had ran full speed, it would have taken us 3 days, said Naruto. I know, said Minato. But is it so bad I want my kids back home? Rin giggled as she shook her head. Don't try the guilt card with us, Dad, she said. It won't work. The mission report had ended now. They were speaking to their father. Minato laughed as he leaned back in his chair. I guess not. But I honestly wanted you guys back home. 3 months is a long time, you know. Years of being Hokage had not been too kind to the man. Streaks of grey hair were already showing, crow feet at the corner of his eyes. But there was no wrinkle yet. He had even lightened up on how he treated his children and the people that work underneath him. As he looked towards his children proudly, the both of them were now much stronger than him, and he was not afraid to admit that. We send messenger hawks back to you and Mikoto every week, Dad, said Naruto, as he looked at the photos on the decks. Pictures of him and his 2 other siblings as babies, when the twins had graduated from the academy. Another one, with him in the center of the snow stadium, when he had finished defeating his last opponent, that being his sister. Naruto had wanted to forfeit, but she said that she wanted to find out who was the strongest between them. She was almost as fast as he was, but she could not make ghost clones, and she could not use several of the speed techniques that he used. However, her regeneration was higher than his, and her strength was much higher. Yes, her strength was something, well, immense. At that time he was stronger than her, but now the both of them were at the peak of their careers, their power overflowing. If they were to ever fight right now, at full power, they would probably rip a hole in space and time. Minato believed that fact was never proven. While they did spar, they set limitations on themselves. The next picture was of Mikoto, the youngest Namikaze prodigy, grinning ear to ear, with her headband tied around her neck, as she was wearing a deep blue battle kimono, black shorts underneath, knee-high socks and sandals. There was a katana strapped onto her back. The last photo was all of them together, when the twins were 12 years old, already jonins. It was the Kyuubi festival. It showed Mikoto dragging both of them. Ren smiling as Naruto looked more subdued. However, he seemed to be enjoying himself as Minato was eating some candy, smiling at the camera. He shook off the members as he spoke. You guys should probably stay in Konoha for the 3 months the Chunin exams are being held here. Of course we will. We want to be there when Michael win, Rin said as she pumped her fist in the air. As Naruto nodded, this whole Chunin exams is just a formality. She's got it within the bag. Despite his face looking so calm and expressionless, you could see the look in his eyes, that he believed in his younger sister. What do you think, father? Speaking from the Hokage standpoint, I am not meant to be partial and choose who win from Konoha. As he then leaned and motioned for them to come in, which they leaned in. But from the father point of view, there is no way that she will lose to anyone. As Ren woohoo and laughed. As Minato then got a bit serious, Ren, you're going to be keeping an eye on the 4th gate. Naruto, I want you here with me until the exams start. Sure. The both of them said as they exchanged some suspicious looks. What if when the exams start? Naruto asked. Both of you will be my guards in the Kage box, which will be the 3rd part of the exams. That was nothing unusual. Naruto and Ren was his escorts if he was ever to leave the village. You two will be part of the patrol squad in the 2nd part. Uncle will brief you both. Now dismiss, he said. Give them a smile. As they've been gone for a long time. As he was allowing them some time to relax. Time skip. A week later. Forest of Death. Mikoto Namikaze drive her blade right through the shoulder of a waterfall genin before she pulled the scroll out of his hand. As she ignored his screams, she turned as she watched Sasuke Uchiha duck under a fist before he slammed his fist into the waterfall genin's stomach. As he brought his fist up and drive a devastating uppercut, snapping the guy's head up. As he fell, unconscious, his two told him Sharingan whirling around towards his rival. As he pulled out 3 shurikens and launched them towards Sakura's opponent, nailing the guy in his calf. As he fell over, thanks Sasuke, Sakura said, but the Uchiha did not focus on her, instead looking towards his Namikaze rival. He had the earth scroll, she said as she kicked her opponent in his head, knocking him out. As she pulled her blade out, I think we have enough. Yeah, let's get going. I'm getting this bad feeling. Sakura Haruno, the team medic, said. Her teal green eyes glanced around as she felt goosebumps. Mikoto glanced up towards the sun. It was about noon and their 3rd day in the forest. That was because they got lost on their 1st day here. Her eyes then widened as a snake burst from the ground and swallowed her before she could draw her blade. Mikoto! Sakura screamed as the snake disappeared down in the foliage. Well, I can't say I'm not disappointed. A voice spoke up, coming from the trees around them, as a man emerged from the darkness. The Sannin savored the way Sakura looked. Sweat poured down Sasuke's face. I thought her records called her a prodigy, like those damn twins. But she was taken out as easily as any other genin. Pitiful. I was hoping for a bit more of entertainment. Its reptilian gaze glanced towards the two others, turning away from the path that Mikoto had been taking. Guess I'll have to settle for you, Sasuke, as he licked his lips. Who the hell are you, Sasuke said, as he struggled to remain on his feet. What do you want? It's a shame you haven't heard of me. The Sannin gathered himself. As he seemed to grow taller, his power spreading. I'm Orochimaru of the Sannin, he said. With each step that he took, his bloodlust thickened. As Uchiha found himself stuck. To think you children can withstand this much? At that moment, Sakura fell over unconscious. Oh, I stand corrected, Orochimaru said. I have come to make a proposition to you, Sasuke. He was about 3 feet away from Sasuke. The boy was panting, his body screaming for him to move, but he could not. You want to be stronger than Mikoto. Bless her poor soul. We can help each other with that. How? Sasuke said. Take my gift. The rest will be up to you. As he bared his fangs at Sasuke. His neck then stretched out towards Uchiha, who still could not move. Before he could bite down though, a violent blast shook the entire place, forcing him to pull his head back. The Sannin spread his killer intent even more. Then, out of the darkness of the forest, came Mikoto, her katana soaked in blood. Her sleeves were shredded, her eyes hardened as she looked towards her team, Sakura lying on the ground. And Sasuke was barely even able to turn to look at her. Her red hair started to spiral out of control. As she grit her teeth in anger, she gripped her katana as she dropped in the first stage of the Uzumaki Kinjutsu stance. Orochimaru looked towards her in amusement, making sure to show her how beneath him she was. She lives, he said. The snake blood that was on the katana dripped. Leave now, or else. Orochimaru tilted his head in amusement. Or else what, he asked. He then felt it, pushing back his own killer intent. Hers. I'll kill you, she said. You can try, child. Give me all you got. He did not want to know how she was able to push back his killer intent. He might as well humor her. Let's pray that you're as good as those twins. We'll see. She blurred forward as her speed was mid-tuning. Her katana materialized as Orochimaru slipped away. He tried to destroy it, but her heel came up, blocking his forearm. She then slashed upwards, making him move back as she slammed her blade in the ground, using it to leap forward with a drop kick towards his face. She kept on cycling kicks towards his face until she dropped down towards the ground, still holding her blade that was stuck in the ground. Orochimaru lashed out an axe kick towards her as she rolled away, pulling her blade out in the process as she twirled it around her hand, twirling it around her back as well as she grabbed it with her other hand as she sliced towards his neck. A kunai dropped from his sleeve as he grabbed it. As he blocked her strike, the speed of the fight and the intensity started to increase as they clashed, sparks flying. Orochimaru's grin grew wider as they clashed, as she was aiming at his neck the entire time, as he ended up tripping her over, kicking away her leg, leaving her defenseless for a quarter of a second in mid-air. His right leg then shot up with an unhuman amount of force. The kick blasted right in her chest as she was sent sailing. He looked down towards the girl in pain, making sure to spite her father as he stepped forward with said kunai until it was knocked away. He then slowly turned, looking up toward the tree where Naruto sat, watching him carefully, and at the base of the tree was Ren, as she wiggled her fingers at him in a small wave. I think that's enough, Snake Sannin. So you finally came. Took longer than expected, Orochimaru snarled. A second late and you would have lost your sister. Oh, make no mistake, old man. We've been here since the beginning. We just wanted to see how much she would do against you. Ren said, as Orochimaru wondered how they were able to hide from his senses. Plus, said Naruto, it would have been nice for you to talk while you were here. a bit more clearer. As Naruto landed, the moment he did, there was a sharp buzz from his body. Orochimaru's killer intent was just thrown away, cancelled out completely. As Naruto stood there, his eyes fixed on Orochimaru, Ren then walked forward. As she picked up the Genins, walking past the snake Sanin, who did not move, as she brought them back over. That katana doesn't feel like it's fit for you, right, Mikoto? As the younger girl nodded. I think a long sword would suit you better. Or maybe a broadsword, she thought. As she checked over her sister for any wounds. Or a claymore, said Naruto. As Naruto was still looking at Orochimaru. Agreed. What do you think, Mikoto? Does a claymore sound better to you? She asked her younger sister. Sasuke felt his courage return after Naruto had cancelled Orochimaru's killer intent. He tried to get up but Ren told him to sit down. Yeah, I think that one has better reach. My katana is elegant, but I'm looking for more power, said Mikoto. We'll go shopping after the exams. For now, said Naruto as he still had his focus on Orochimaru. The sadistic Sanin had a reason why he did not try to attack Ren while she go for the kids. The last time he fought these two, well, he had to flee for his life. With no arms, dozens of broken bone, a concussion, a missing eye, and several stab wounds. His ego had burned badly. Ambushing them together was his worst idea that he ever came up with. He heard a slight buzzing sound, a hum, before his throat was grabbed as Naruto pulled him down. The rest of Naruto's body materializing after his hand. The Naruto that stood in front of his siblings exploded into red mist. Orochimaru clenched his eyes shut, knowing that the teen had his Sharingan activated. We warned you to not come after anyone that we know. That includes our family. As Naruto squeezed his fist tight in Orochimaru's throat as he lifted him off the ground a little. Orochimaru clawed the hand as he struggled before he stopped. He then smirked. I'll see you soon, boy, he said. His whole body then shriveled up as Naruto dropped the cloak of the snake skin. He left the moment we made him know that we were here. Damn pervert, Rin said as she turned towards the team in front of her. You guys should probably head towards the tower, she said. Okay, big sis, said Mikoto. And don't drop your guard, said Naruto. That old snake might return at any time. As Naruto stood there wondering if he should release his summons to chase after Orochimaru, though he shoot the idea away. That was overkill. Okay, big brother, said Mikoto. Rin then gave Naruto a pleading look. As he simply shrugged, she then dived as she hugged her baby sister. Sis, can't breathe, Mikoto said. Don't you ever make us worry like that again. You hear, she said, releasing her sister. As Mikoto nodded, making Ren smile softly. As Naruto spoke what was on her mind. Know when to retreat, kid, he said. Don't let your emotions control your actions. And don't come off as predictable. Your attacks were too obvious. As he appeared in front of her, as he ruffled her hair, his eyes crinkling to show that he was smiling. Well, in his own way. You did good. Thanks, big bro, Big Sis, she said. I promise, I'll make you guys proud. As she puffed out her chest and her cheek. However, Ren had just poked her in the nose. We know you will, just don't get hurt too badly along the way. As she nodded, Ren exploded into a shower of yellow lights as Naruto burst into red mist. So cool, said Mikoto. Watching her siblings use their signature body technique was always interesting. As Naruto used a mixture of the standard body flicker, but he added in his own ghost speed release that left behind a copy of him that lasted for a full minute before crumbling away into red mist. It was good to misdirect his opponents. Rin utilized what she called her flashy flicker, which incorporated her flash step ability. The flash step release was a watered down ability of Naruto ghost speed. This speed left a short after image in her wake, which would make it seem predictable, but she was faster than predictable. The after images remained for a few seconds before bursting into yellow flashes, which seemed like puffing lights, reappearing and disappearing every quarter mile, as it perfectly hid her movements when she mixed it together. As it hid her movements for her opponent until it was too late for them. Shisui Uchiha would be proud. The only problem with their bloodline speed was, before they moved there was a vibration. The volume of the vibration depended on the distance that they move, and the speed that they use. Mikato wasn't as fast as them, even for Namikaze, whose Soul Clan had focused on the Flash Step and the Ghost Speed Release bloodline, but she was faster than her peers. The problem with unlocking her full speed was the dense chakra holding her down, her thick bone and muscle density, and surprisingly enough, the fragility of her skin if she ever moved that fast. Even if she unlocked the ability, the speed step, well, a normal person's skin would burn up if they move at the speed that Rin was going. And if they tried to move at the speed that Naruto was going, their organs would explode out of their body because it would feel like they were underneath the water, the sea, going through a very thin tube, and the pressure slamming against them. Minato had unlocked the Flash Step when he was very younger, and he incorporated it with the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, which made him much faster. The twins had declined learning that since moving much faster would jeopardize a lot of things. They also declined learning the Rasengan as well. Back in the office, Minato sighed after his children told him what happened. "Do you at least have a guess why he was there?" asked Minato. He sent the snake to ignore Sakura and swallow Mikato. So he was after Sasuke. Rin surmised as she was seated in a chair across from her father's desk. Minato hummed in thought. "Do you think it was like when he attacked both of you in the Hidden Smoke Village?" It was a mission that he took 2 years after becoming full Jonins to go assist the Smoke Leader in rounding up some pests that were cutting down his shinobi forces. Orochimaru had tried to take over their bodies. However, he soon realized what happened when a Namikaze and a Uzumaki create offsprings. "I believe so. He kept on spouting out that he wanted our bodies. I can only assume that he came for the same thing." "That perf," said Ren. "The fact remains that he has now revealed himself. That makes him a threat," said Minato as he looked towards the two Jonins. "You want us to hunt him down?" Naruto asked. "No, that will distract you two if any other person attack Konoha. Save it until the end of the exams. I'll assign Kakashi and Yujiro." "Understood," they said, as their father dismissed them. Once they were out of the office, Rin glanced towards Naruto expectantly as she caught the look in his eyes. As they parted ways, one thought in their mind: find and kill Orochimaru. Neither of them liked to leave a mission or murder unfinished. So if they kill Orochimaru, well, it will be finished. So now that they parted ways, well, they had a plan. Naruto will go looking for him as Ren will cover that he was still here, so they would not leave the village unattended. The first thing Naruto did was head back towards the Forest of Death as he searched for the Sannin Chakra Trail. His putrid Chakra Trail was being overpowered by the nature chakra in the forest, but Naruto saw his purplish colored chakra. It ended at the west exit of the forest. As Naruto closed his eyes before he focused, he stepped forward and knelt down as he found a single strand of silver gray hair. There weren't that many silver gray hair people within Konoha or outside of Konoha. He examined it, but his dojutsu could not tell him anything except that it was male and moisturized, as he sealed it into a sealing scroll to be examined later. The first name he canceled out was Kakashi Hatake, since he was with them within the tower when Orochimaru released his killer intent. Orochimaru doing that was not very smart, as Naruto buzzing was him releasing his own sensory ability that could find anything that was bigger than a molecule. It was incredibly hard to use and hard to focus, as he called it his hyper-awareness, and apparently now Kumo knew about it. Naruto then burst into red mist. Orochimaru revealing himself could not be taken lightly. It's not that Minato took him lightly, but it's just he wanted to make sure that Konoha was defended before he launched a full-scale search. Unknown to any of them, a red-haired man within the hidden rain looked towards his followers, as their task was to capture the tail beasts. The first would probably be the hardest one to reach. He was not going to be going with them, but since Sastre of the Red Sand, the Mad Bomber Deidara, the Zombie Brothers Hidan and Kakazu, the Zero-Tailed Beast Kisame, and the Orange Masked Uchiha Tobi, and the Angel of Death Konan, and their final member, who was Bearded Kisame, known as Rengo Kamatashi of the Sand. He was wearing a sand camo around his head and shoulders, making his sandy silver eyes glow, as his red and black cloak covered his torso. When it came to fighting the Ghost Flash, there was never a safe way to go about it. And even though the spy in their organization, Zetsu, had ensured that the Namikaze family was going for a week-long vacation after the Chunin exams, it would probably be the most vulnerable. They could get Mikoto Namikaze in a very long time. All the members were to fight and defeat the S-rank twins. After that, defeat the father as well, and capture their sibling. Nagito would simply follow along to observe, as he was not ready to make himself known yet. Each member had 3 months to prepare. Collecting tail beasts will start after they get the 9 tails, which will be the last they tear out of the Jinchuriki. If all else fail and the Namikaze family remain in Konoha, they will just have to attack them there. They were ready for that, because they had to eliminate their prime threat. That was very important. Naruto Namikaze, the Red Demon, was the fastest ninja to ever walk this earth, and was their biggest threat. They had to kill him immediately. What hope did the Speedster family had, as 8 S-rank ninjas was gonna come after Mikoto? Well, you guys will have to see that next time, because yeah, I'm gonna be ending this episode right here. For once next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell if you stay posted. And yeah, don't forget to go ahead and check out the what episode of the other channels, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So yeah, without further ado, I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.